This is the Apprentice to the Villain. As you can see, the first print edition has some purple edges and a red cover that is the inverse of the first book. The inside cover also includes that same funny map that you got in the first book and the same sense of humor. When we open this book, the villain is gone. Evie's father is evil, and Evie, well, I'm going to let you read about where she ends up. This is the follow-up of Assistant to the Villain, and I absolutely loved the first book. I gave it 5 stars. It was one of my favorite fun, comedy romance reads. But when you get a second book, you always wonder, is it going to live up to the first? And I would say overall, yes. So in this book, we get a lot more of the romantic tension between Evie and the villain, and we get a lot more from the villain's point of view, so we get a little bit more insight into his feelings and his thoughts throughout this book. This book also gives us a little bit more insight into some of the supporting characters like Claire, Evie's mother, her background, Becky, because throughout this book, this crew is going to try to save Rennedawn from the magic that is dying. Yep, the villain is going to try to save Rennedawn. And so while this book is not as good as the first one, I gave this 4.5 stars instead of 5. It is still a good book. The things that did not get it to a 5-star read for me were that the plot was moving rather slow. There was a lot of things happening in this book, but a lot of them did not move the plot forward. And we repeated the same trope with Evie and the villain over and over and over again. And at some point I was like, okay, we need to move on from this. This second book is very much a setup for the third and final book. We learn a little bit of information at the end that makes you go, okay, I can kind of see where we're going with this. And it does end on a bit of a cliffhanger. Now, while there was a lot of repetition in the tropes that were used throughout this book, I still absolutely loved it. Most of the time I did not care because it was so darn funny. I was laughing, I was smiling, and I enjoyed this book thoroughly. So if you're somebody who did enjoy book 1, I truly think you will enjoy the second book. Just come in with the expectations that it's not quite the same as the first, but you likely will be like me and looking forward to book 3.